just gone live. I know how this thing works, so as soon
Hi.
as... Yep, it says we're live. It's actually picking up on us. And now we're muted on my end too, so that's a nice feature.
Oh,
Hello everyone. We are just barely getting started here.
and I see Raven is with us.
Ah, Raven is with us. Excellent, excellent. Anybody else here? Go ahead and give us a quick shout out. We are right at 12:58 according to my watch. So in 1 minute, I guess we're fully going at it. That's a wonderful way of putting it, isn't it? We're going at it.
That's a way of putting it. Maybe
I
not the best way.
Yeah, I need some editing support. Help me reword that. Help me sell that in a way that's very PG-13.
It was close. It's good enough.
Very close.
Slipped it in under the sensors.
Well, the
No
thing
one called attention
is,
to it.
we're not even into the stream yet, and I could already say hashtag demonetized.
I mean, I think we're okay. Just don't call it the attention of the sensors.
Yes, indeed. Censors, ignore us. There is nothing to see here. These are
Fortunately, I
not
don't think the
the.
sensors are actually paying attention to us.
This is not the YouTube video you're looking for. We could go about our business. Move along. Oh my goodness. So, it is officially 1 o'clock according to the GPS watch here. And so I guess that's as good as anything. Welcome to the Studio Prey July live stream. I am, of course, your dubiously talented host, Rebecca Mickley, and we are joined by the absolutely talented and ever patient Cat the Dragon, part of our Dragon Edit team. Maya is under the weather today. She will not be joining us. We miss you, Maya. I miss you, Maya, because you normally stand between Cat and I, and that is a very important position from my perspective. How you doing, Cat?
I don't know if I would call your talents dubious. Uh, our morals are definitely dubious, but I
Yes.
think your talent is without question.
Well, here's to you. Thank you for that. Shame, you know. The thing is that if I at least fake humility and then I get corrected, it looks humble. So you know, I mean, just yeah, it's all about selling the scene, building that scene up. You know.
Writers.
Yes, indeed. It's you know, we are creating a narrative.
Something
Snowy
like
is
that.
humble and self-effacing. She's a good sort. Yes, she is. We should buy all of her books and sign up for her Patreon and give her all the money because she's such a cool person. That's what we're trying to get across. Please tell me it's working.
Well, judging from our positions in Amazon's rankings, seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, we are continually flirting with the top 100 LGBT sci-fi. It's getting serious. We're talking about getting an apartment together, and we are consistently in the top 500 for LGBT sci-fi, which is just absolutely rad. Um, because I grew up in the 80s and I never left. Ah, yes. But it's really doing well. I'm very impressed by our sales rankings. At least, and as people get done with Dawnbreak, once they get through the death threats phase, they move on to Exile. Then they move on to Rise, and it's been very positive.
And then here shortly they'll be able to move on to Ghost of the Nightmare Gods, and then the death threats come back.
Yes, yes, indeed. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, Ghost of the Nightmare Gods. For our people that are not Patreon supporters that are here, I see Shimon is here. He is one of our $10 a month Alarians, and we are very grateful to you, Shimon. You are ultra rad. Thank you for being such a big supporter of the magic. But for our Patreon supporters right now, every Wednesday and Sunday, Ghosts of the Nightmare Gods is releasing in its entirety. I believe it will be wrapping up around the first week of August. Yes, that's correct. The first week of August. We will have
Sounds
it
about right.
out for public consumption. Be afraid. August 15th. I like to do
Mm-hmm.
like a 2 week delay where you can read it in its entirety on the website if you are a Patreon supporter. And that does not just mean what's it called? You have to be a Patreon supporter from day one. If you join up on Patreon right now, you get complete access to the story so far, the road so far, hashtag demonetized, and you get access to what's coming forward. So if you still want to be with the cool kids, you want to know what's going on before anyone else does, you've got a
It's never too
chance.
late.
Yeah, it's never too late. We've all we've got it there for you, at least until the 15th of August, and then she all comes down, and we enter into our fall hiatus. I say that because it is kind of a fall hiatus in terms of air quotes. The work never really stops, but we will not have another release until Halloween, and that will be
Mm-hmm.
Whispers Beyond the Veil. Now, Kat, you've been working
Mm-hmm.
about on Whispers Beyond the Veil. Is it done yet?
Nope.
Why?
uh, because it's a mess.
What was that thing about me being talented?
I said you were talented. I didn't say you didn't need editing.
That's true. That is true. Some
A lot of
people
talent,
need water. I need editors. Yeah.
a lot of talent, a lot of great characterization, fantastic plot, uh, compelling world building, uh, terrible grammar. The half of the editing process is trying to figure out what you meant to say.
Yes.
So we're getting there. It's slowly working its way forward. I think I'm at like the 3/4 mark.
Excellent. Excellent. Um, I have total faith in you because I mean, hey, we've all been here before. We've got a pretty
Uh,
smooth.
yep. And part of it is, of course, this is one of the older manuscripts.
True.
This was written way before Dawnbreak,
Mhm.
and you've grown a lot as a writer since then. What I can say is that while it takes me a little while for some of these older manuscripts that you wrote earlier in your career, uh, when I'm finished with it, it will make sense.
That's right, Cat, unscrambler of my sentences. Thank her for any coherence I seem to have. Without Cat, I am a rambling mess, let it be said. Of course, if you watch these live streams, you know already that I'm a rambling mess, so it works out.
It's a lot of magic, a little sleight of hand, some smoke and mirrors, the occasional human sacrifice. That's what makes the magic happen.
Speaking of nightmare gods, as stated, Whispers Beyond the Veil will be all available on Halloween. Happy Halloween, October 31st. Following its
Very appropriate.
release cycle, we are jumping right back into the Farthest Star universe with the titular novel, Farthest Star. That will be book 4 in the series, counting Dawnbreak.
Mm-hmm.
Farthest Star is seismic. In a lot of ways, it's bigger, more bombastic. The world gets a lot bigger, if you can believe it. Uh, I'm
I'm
very,
excited for that one.
I'm very excited to get Farthest Star out. I am gleefully rubbing my little paws together about January.
It is our first sense in the farthest star universe of just how big a galaxy actually is.
Yes, because as we know, we have a number of revelations in Rise of the Forgotten. Not going to spoil it about just how many species there might be. Might be.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, not spoiling it. If you really want to know, you're going to have to read it. It's only $2.99 on Amazon, or it's available in KDP for free if you're one of those Kindle Direct subscribers, which if you are, awesome. It's also available in paperback format to purchase. So
Mm-hmm.
it's available there. Get caught up. Now's a great time. We've still got about, what, 5 months? Yeah, 5 months until Farthest Star debuts. I'm
Mm-hmm.
aiming for a January 15th deployment on Farthest
Mm-hmm.
Star. That's really where I'm going for. But we'll see what happens there. Benny Shimon says that he's reading, and we need to give him time to finish. Well, you have time, Shimon, because it will not be releasing on the website until January, and that will be available for you because you are one of our Patreon subscribers who is awesome and
Mm-hmm.
handsome and talented, and we're so grateful that you're alive and breathing and giving us money. Uh, and it will be available until it finishes its release cycle, which is around like March or April, and then it'll finally be out there on Amazon. I believe, Jules, are you T? I think that's T. I think that's our new cover artist. I'm waiting for it to catch up with me so he can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's
Maybe.
yes, it is. It is the amazingly talented Cadmium T. He
IT.
has just completed the new cover for Exile's Return. You can already see just a sampling of his amazing work with the cover of Ghosts of the Nightmare Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Sarah could not stay with us. Changes in her life happened, and it was time for her to move on. But we sailed under a lucky star and got, I feel, someone that is just amazingly talented and incredibly passionate about the work. And T, we are so happy to have you, and thank you so much for all your hard work. I just want to call you out here on the stream, make you blush. If you look towards
Oh
the
yeah.
east, see, now he's fallen quiet because he's busy packing and preparing to leave the country.
We have had such excellent luck with artists.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah is amazing, and T is equally amazing.
Yes.
Uh, and it's really incredible that we managed to find two such incredibly talented artists that were willing to work with us.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. If I was,
and so quickly that T was just right there waiting.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, the gods were definitely with us. If I was to describe Sarah and T in one word, and I play these games because I'm a writer and playing with words is what I do, I would say iconic
Mm-hmm.
or
That's a good word.
or inspiring. That's the other thing. I mean, it's like with Sarah and T both, they have this ability to make it come alive.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy looking at the cover as much as I enjoy reading the book, which sounds a little vain, but maybe it is a little vain, but it's just like, wow, there it is. It's real. It adds such a dimension when you can look at the character, for me at least, and connect.
I mean, I framed the covers and put them on the wall, so.
So do I, actually. I have the original of every cover. Exiles is coming soon for me, as well as
Yeah, I
Nightmare
think.
Gods. I can barely
Well,
see it up there, yeah.
yeah, there it is. That's the cover of Dawnbreak behind me.
Hmm. Did I sign that one?
Uh, Good question. I don't think so.
Well, darn, I'm sorry. I'll have to do some graffiti the next time I see you on it.
I want to get you up here in the spring or something anyway. So,
Yep. Oh, that's an excellent segue. I like that. And I'm not just talking about the personal conveyance device. Um, Wandering Hops.
hmm
I am the hiking hare. I just got back from San Francisco visiting family. Hello, family in San Francisco. If you're ever watching this, you guys are rad. And I did a big hike actually through the city. You can catch it on the website, Wandering Hops, the Urban Runner. Um, Wandering Hops comes out every Tuesday.
hmm
Uh, Starting in April, all goes well. Wandering Hops is going on an extended run of the Pacific Crest Trail. That is from the California Mexican border all the way, well, U.S. Mexican border in California, all the way up to about 8 or 15 miles into Canada. But it officially ends at the
hmm
U.S. Canada border. Clocks in at around 2,650 miles. On average, 60% of people start, do not finish. Now, they don't die or anything. They just, they just are like, they get hurt. Life happens, as it often does. Just things take people off the trail. I've been training like mad for this. And I will be giving as close to weekly updates as I can. Writing blogs while I'm out there, stuff like that. And as I come into Signal, I'm going to upload them to my wonderful husband, our IT department, and they'll get them to Cat. We're developing a workflow, and I'm also planning on doing YouTube videos, things like that. And so that's where Wandering Hops is going, but that's not all. We are going to be getting further afield out through August. I'm going to be heading probably into eastern Washington, down into Oregon, possibly Nevada, of all places.
hmm
And in September, Wandering Hops is going to Yellowstone for 3 days. I will be hiking Yellowstone. Uh,
That's going to be exciting.
it's very exciting. I can't believe I got reservations this late in the season. And so for most of September, Wandering Hops will be covering my various Yellowstone adventures. So there's a lot there to unpack. That's very, very exciting. Um, Along with Wandering Hops, because it's been very popular. We've been getting a lot of feedback on it. We've been picking up followers through our Tumblr accounts, likes, shares, comments. It's really exciting to watch that stream, traffic towards the writings. Remember how I said I
hmm
ramble, ladies and gentlemen?
We're enjoying the ramble. I
I'm
just like this.
glad. Just rant, rant, rant. We are going to be introducing some new Patreon perks soon for our Alarians and our $6 supporters, where you get a say in where I hike next. You get in on unlisted videos of me traveling out there and coming back, and me actually talking into a camera, not just writing, to make this more interactive, to give you guys more of a value for your Patreon dollar. But also because we are all in this together. We have continually said that Studio Prey is like a family. And the idea is to connect, and the idea is so with the Final Draft Club and with these new perks coming for Patreon and all of that, it's about bringing you, the reader, as much into our world as we possibly can. Now that doesn't mean that if you tell me to like go hike Everest, I'm going to go hike Everest. I've got veto power, all right. So any of you that are really looking to get it in on me because of Dawnbreak, not going to work.
And bringing people into our world uh, may or may not be a harrowing experience, depending on which world we're talking about. I apologize for the fact that we're going to be bringing people into the Nightmare Gods universe.
It's a
But
good universe. It's just slightly traumatizing.
eh, it's an enjoyable universe. It's most definitely not a good one.
What's the what's the term? Shit sack world?
Crap sack, I think, usually.
Crap sack
But
world. There we go.
it is very much that thing. I would uh, I would describe, if I had to describe our various universes, I think the farthest star universe is vast and indifferent, and the Nightmare Gods universe is actively malevolent.
Yes. Yes. Let's see. Well, Shimon, his plans are undone. They say they're upset that they can't have me hike off a cliff into oblivion after reading Dawnbreak.
Oh,
I'm going to
disappointment.
make him blush a bit, but I got a message the other day. Dawnbreak broke my heart. He's finally getting caught up and reading the
Oh,
work, and I think he was probably on a flight when he was reading it. And I'm very sorry, but stay tuned.
that's that follows for just about everybody who reads Dawnbreak.
Mm-hmm. I recently met with my aunt who lives in the Bay Area, and she was, she was talking to me about Dawnbreak because she actively reads and follows my works. In fact, she has sent me home with corrections because she's effectively like an English teacher. And she went through and marked up her copy. And she's like, "Here, this will make it better." But she's like, "The story is amazing, right?" But
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "But it also broke my heart." She said, "I cried." So but that's what we're about. We're about getting those emotional reactions. It's about connection, which is why we're expanding our Patreon offerings, which is why we do
Mm-hmm.
these live streams, which is why I ramble incessantly. Uh, it's all about community.
Mm-hmm.
We are our own little community, for lack of a better word.
Let's see, what else do we have to talk about today?
Yeah, no, we're only like 20 minutes in. Watch me juggle. Watch me dance.
We have covered my slow progress on Whispers and things that are coming out. Wandering Hops, Where You're Going. Weren't you also talking about uh, specifically videos like about the equipment,
Oh,
how to get
yes.
ready for the hikes?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to start doing videos about how I prepare, what I do. Not like right now, in addition to just the gear that I'm using, the choices that I'm making, uh, all of that. I go to the gym like 6 days a week.
Mhm.
I'm actively training. I have a weights routine. All of this stuff, the more that you can perform out there, the better you can perform out there, the easier you can make it yourself. The more you can do, the easier it is on you out there. And so it's important to keep up with your training. It's important to not necessarily have the most expensive gear, but gear that you know that is reliable, that is lightweight
Mhm.
enough, and it's important to know what it does. I've got satellite beacons and messengers, and all of this. But if you don't know how to use them, if you're not familiar with them, it's just a fancy orange box.
And the reliability. is extremely important. Cannot stress enough how much you don't want something that you really need on the trail to break, especially on a multi-day hike.
Oh,
I speak from experience. I had a set of trekking poles. If you get trekking poles, do not get poles with shock absorbers,
hmm,
because I've had two different sets of trekking poles with shock absorbers break after a couple of months of use. Uh,
hmm.
I now have two separate sets that don't have that, and they perform extremely well. I also do a lot of hiking. I don't post videos about it, uh, but I spend a lot of time in Shenandoah, at least once a month. We're out there. Have done a couple of multi-day hikes recently.
I like to think that I helped her get into hiking.
Yes, I entirely blame you.
Yay, the virus
I
is spreading.
I think you are in large part the one who planted that bug in my spouse's head, and they were the one who decided that we were gonna start doing the things. And I am extremely happy for this because I've always loved hiking and camping and hadn't done any serious hiking in years, and now I'm back out there on the trail several times a month. So I'm happy. I enjoy being out there.
We live in such a managed world. We live in a world where everything is so controlled and curated and shaped towards, just basic existence and comfort and all of that. But the world wasn't always that way, for one. For two, there is so much beauty. There is so much surprise, adventure, all of this just waiting off the paved roads. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's like it can feel like such a privilege to be, 5 miles into a hike. You're tired. You've been going uphill. You've been switching back like crazy, and it sucks because it's just elevation, 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 elevation. But then you see this mountain lake, and you know that you're only in a handful of people that are ever going to see that mountain lake because you're only in a handful of people that are willing to put forth the effort to get there.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that hikers are somehow better or more elite or whatever. We might be in decent shape, but there is a privilege that comes with the expenditure of energy and effort and planning and time where you get to see these snippets of beauty, this natural life and way of being that we are so cut off from in our modern
Mm-hmm.
life. It's really quite amazing to me. I feel very privileged to be able to be out on the trail, to be able to experience
Mm-hmm.
nature at least in some way the way that it was, to see the different biomes, to see the way that the world just, where you're just a small part of it instead of the focus of it.
Mm-hmm. I had this moment last month. I think it was hiked a section of the Appalachian Trail uh, up Loft Mountain, and found this turnoff off of the trail in the woods that came out onto this cliff, and had a nice little shelf like shaped like a chair. Sat down, uh, had this gorgeous view. Decided we were going to stay there for lunch, and there's miles and miles of nothing but forest below this mountain. Could not see anything but trees and other mountains, and fantastic breeze blowing through, and finished lunch, and I almost fell asleep sitting on the side of a cliff. And
Just
then
just a bit of
decided
a
to
safety
get up and
trip
keep
tip.
going.
That's bad.
I mean, I was not near the edge of the cliff, just kind of at a cliff.
At a cliff, yes. It's always interesting to me how psychology works. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
at least the way that my psychology works. I'm sure that there are a lot of professionals in the industry that could be equally fascinated about how my psychology works. But I digress. I always start off with the hike, and honestly, it's the first hour or two that's the hardest.
Hmm.
It's always like, you're getting into it, you kind of feel sluggish, your muscles don't always want to work or whatever because you've been at the gym all week and or whatever. But there's always that inevitable moment where I stop, I get some water, things like that, and I just kind of fall into the rhythm of the day. And then
Hmm.
it's not about how my joints feel. It's not about the weight on my back. It's about making the miles and the world
You're
around
breaking up.
me. Am I breaking up?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, that's no good.
That's definitely not great. I think you're back. Seems
Okay.
to be working now.
Excellent, excellent. Let me
Just
see.
had a moment.
Yep, we're showing as good. We're pushing at 720p.
Cool.
That's a lot of p's.
And uh, yeah, no, the hardest part for me is going up the hill.
Yeah.
Steep inclines are the worst thing. But then, on the other side, it's all downhill from there until you get to the next hill, and it's uphill again.
Yes. It's a very good metaphor for life, but I'm talking
Mountains behind the mountains.
there's this point where you disengage from yourself and you're just a creature in the wider world and you're a spectator in the wider world, and that's where it all gets worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, almost a week ago to this day, standing in Presidio Park at the top of a small mountain overlooking the bay with the National Cemetery stretching out before me and the spires of the Golden Gate off and to my left. Cool breeze
The
blowing
photos are
in.
fantastic.
Yeah, cool breeze blowing in off Pacific. That was a profound moment because you have all of this beauty, all of nature, and then you also have this field of people that have made the ultimate sacrifice for,
Mm-hmm.
from World War II, World War One, people that really did, like that truly died for freedom, for the continuation of the country, all of that. Like I said, it's one of those profound moments that you're only going to have if you get out there.
That's a really cool moment. And I have to call out to Shemin pointing out that rolling off a cliff is a lesson you keep for the rest of your life, and that is absolutely true.
Yes,
Whether you
indeed.
survive or not.
Well, you know what they say. It's the cliche, I know, but you know what they say. It's not the falling that kills you. It's the sudden stop at the end.
I promise not to fall off any cliffs, probably, anytime soon.
Yeah, Cat, I need you.
Yeah, I have to throw a few qualifiers in there. I probably won't.
Hey,
It's
I'm.
unlikely. My odds of falling off a cliff are significantly better than the average person because the average person doesn't spend a whole lot of time on cliffs.
Mhm. I wonder who has the better statistical chance of falling off a cliff, you or I? I get out slightly more than you, but I'm also a klutz.
Well, you spend more time on cliffs. You're a klutz. You're also more cautious than I am.
That is true.
Uh, I feel like your odds of sitting and hanging your feet off of a cliff are lower than mine.
If for no other reason that Wags would probably threaten to divorce me. Every time I go out, he normally wakes up and he'll sit with me and, we'll have breakfast together or whatever before I go out on a hike. Well, the last thing that he tells me is, Bun, I love you, don't die.
Yeah, don't die.
Which is wonderful advice.
Now, in my defense, the cliff story, I was actually about 10 or 15 feet away from the cliff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't that close. I had been closer, but I moved a little backwards before I started to drift off.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Shimon says that being that they live in Chicago and there's no hills, it's definitely not him. But the thing is that living in Chicago for Shimon, that's a whole different other set of threats that he has to worry about, especially depending on
Yeah.
what part of Chicago he might be in.
No cliffs, but you're in Chicago. So,
Yes, yes,
but
indeed.
and as far as feeling unfit listening to us talk about hiking, it's never too late.
Yeah.
And there may not be a whole lot of cliffs in Illinois, but I'm sure there's some parks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm absolutely certain that there's some beachside walks on the Great Lakes and pretty close to Canada, and there's some really pretty forest out there.
Oh, yeah, Illinois has some beautiful parks. But as Kat's saying, it's never too late. 20 years ago, because I am old, ladies and gentlemen, I was 370 pounds, very sedentary, very, very out of shape. As early as uh, 4 years ago, I was 260 pounds and very sedentary and very out of shape. It's not to brag. It's not to toot my own horn. If it's possible for me to get up and get out there and to make positive changes, it's honestly possible for anyone because
Mhm.
there is nothing that makes me special. I was not born with any abundance of athletic talent. That's more my brother. And I've always been a klutzy, tripping over her own 2 feet kind of bookworm
Mhm.
that would rather sit in a library than run on a track. And yet
Mhm.
I'm able to do it. And once again, that is not to call out my own largesse and my own greatness. It is to say that it is accessible and possible for everyone. And that's one of the things that Wandering Hops is about, especially if you'll read The Urban Runner, which we just got to. There are hikes available in your city. There are
Mhm.
trails. There are apps. There are varying difficulty levels, and it's all
Mhm.
very curated and rated. It is so much easier to plan than it was 30 years ago. If you want to get out there, if you want to see things that few other people are going to see, if you want to challenge yourself even just a little bit, there's a hike out there for you. There's a way out for you. You know.
And I was a farm kid, so 10 years ago, I was able to rock climb trees, occasionally lock myself out of the house and get back in through a second window. 5 years ago, I could not do any of that stuff, and presently, I can't walk further than across my living room without a cane, but I still manage to get out there on the trail.
Yeah.
It's about pacing yourself, knowing what your limits are, and knowing how far you can push yourself and not pushing yourself too far,
Mm-hmm.
and doing what you can do, and there is something that everybody can do.
Yeah. Getting out is a victory. You don't have to go 12 miles for it to be amazing. You can go 2 miles and it be amazing. You can go 1 mile and it can be
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Getting
And I've
out.
gone 12 miles and spent 2 days recovering from it, but it's
Yeah.
worth it.
And I'm proud of you for that because you have challenges and you don't let the challenges stop you. And that's the thing. It's about not letting the challenges stop you.
My average that I can manage and still be able to function the next day is about 5 or 6 miles. Uh, I have been able to do 10 and 12 and just take it easy for a couple of days afterwards
Mm-hmm.
uh, because I know what my limits are and I know how far I can push myself and how long it's going to take me to recover when I do it.
Yeah. Well, with me, my big challenge, beyond the physical, is that I do have a rampaging anxiety disorder. And
Mm-hmm.
rampaging is a good word for it. I have
Yeah,
this.
I've seen what it can do. So yeah.
Yeah, I have I can have random anxiety and panic attacks at the drop of a hat over the smallest things, ruminations, all of that. And it has been at times a debilitating challenge in my life. But let me tell you, after I hike 14 miles and negotiate cliffs and manage my water and all of those other fun things, it does turn the volume down a bit for me because it's like, if I can do this, I can manage my fear. And it's one of the
Mhm.
ways that I have learned that it helps me cope.
I was there for the part of your life that it was at its worst, and I've seen how much you've improved just from getting out there and proving to yourself that you can do stuff.
hmm
And it's really cool to see. It really helps.
I went from being a long distance truck driver to not driving for almost 5 years.
And now you
And
have a truck.
now I have a truck and I'm driving out there again, which is how I'm getting to Oregon, Nevada, the coast. Because wonderful and long suffering husband and IT department that he is, he has a life. He cannot spend 6 hours every weekend driving just so that I can go hiking somewhere.
Mhm.
For me to actually really get out there with Wandering Hops and get beyond St. Helens, which is a 40-mile jaunt, or Beacon Rock, which is about an hour and a half away, it had to be me that was doing it. Because otherwise
Mhm.
it's not fair, it's not right, it's not feasible. And so I had to face that.
So yeah, for both of us, I feel like getting out and pushing ourselves a little bit and proving that we can do a thing, uh, and also the right medication makes a big difference.
Yeah, don't be afraid to talk to your doctor. Don't be afraid
Hmm.
to reach out for help. It was one of the scariest things I have ever done was sitting down with my doctor and admit that my anxiety disorder was out of control and I didn't know how to keep managing it and the management methods that I've been using were no longer working and that I wanted to try medication.
And I'm glad that you took that step because it seemed to really help.
It absolutely changed my life. I take Boost Bar, which is a
Hmm.
non-addictive anti-anxiolytic. Is what it's called. It's a probably more information than you guys need, but it's in a class by itself as a med. It's a very old med, and it was very hard to admit that I needed it. Like I said, it was one of the hardest things that I've ever done. But once I got on the med and it helped me establish a level, it helped me find the strength to start making the healthier decisions that snowballed into wandering hops and all of that. So there are ways out. But one of the most courageous things I hold that anybody will ever do is asking for help.
Hmm. I think that's absolutely true. Of course, mine's lyric and enough muscle relaxers to sedate a horse.
But you're a dragon, so you know horse is kind of smaller than you, so it works.
It's dinner sized.
Horse, it's what's for dinner. That was bad. It was terrible.
Somebody's gonna get mad at me for that. But no, I grew up on a farm and grew up around horses. Uh, so my first job was working with horses, actually.
hmm Well, we are almost 45 minutes in now, so
No, we have rambled.
we have rambled, we have wandered far, as they say.
Yes, indeed.
I want to turn it back towards our audience there, Shimon, Jules, Raven, Saber the Sixth. Do we have any questions? Anything you guys would like to know? Anything you guys are dying to ask? We're here. We're talking to you. Look at me. I'm being cheesy.
A little bit.
Yes, yes, me. Well, we could do the whole Shatner thing.
No.
Hey, I haven't badmouthed or praised any authors yet this live stream. We've still got that in my back pocket.
Swiftly becoming a tradition.
Yes, I would like to send out my congratulations to Jim Butcher, who just finished Peace Talks. It was a long, hard road for him. I'm very excited to read it when it's coming out. He's got it out to his beta readers. And yeah, Jim, big fan. You inspire me. You're one of the writers I look up to. So congratulations on getting that done. I know what it's like. Trust
So
me.
this time we're praising authors that we actually like.
Hey, we're
Cool.
starting a trend. I talked about Heinlein
Little bit of
last
change.
time, so it's like,
A
it's
little
like
bit of change.
we want to get the negativity out of the stream.
It's Neil Gaiman for me.
Neil Gaiman's
Big fan.
amazing storyteller. Good Lord, Neil Gaiman's amazing. I just finished watching Good Omens on Amazon,
Hmm.
which was an excellent adaptation of the book. I think Pratchett's smiling down on him wherever Pratchett is.
Oh yeah.
And probably somewhere like this world, because that's just where his imagination would take him. But
That's that really is a fantastic story. Uh, so yeah, let's start saying some good things about favorite authors.
yeah,
Uh,
well, I talked about Heinlein.
present company included.
Oh my goodness, this is the ego inflation part of the live stream. Oh boy, I've been so
At
looking
the bunny.
forward to it.
Uh, and doesn't look like we have any questions from anybody.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to give everyone about another 30 seconds. I'm timing this. I am looking at my watch menacingly, going,
Looks like we may have inspired Shaman to go find a trail.
That I like. I encourage people to get out and connect with nature because there's nothing like it in the world. All right,
It is
guys.
the world.
Thank you for joining us. Our next live stream will be towards the end of August, just like this one is, unless we get some more feedback about timing. That poll is still open. You will find the link down in the description below. If you would like to help pay us to continue rambling, writing, and producing works that amaze, inspire, and offend, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter for as low as $2 a month. You can help support us here at the studio, and trust me, every dollar helps. It really does.
It really does.
All pitching aside, it keeps us going. And thank you for all.
And I gotta say, even more than the money coming in from the Patreon, I gotta say, just knowing that people are reading the work keeps us going.
Yes, that does. And every positive review is an absolute victory. If you love the book, please let other people know. Please give us a good rating on Amazon. If you hated the book, please rate it well and then let everyone know.
Uh, every positive review on Amazon is also advertising, so that also helps us a lot.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you. We wouldn't be here without our fans, without our readers. You really are a part of the magic. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
We'll see y'all next month.
Onward towards the farthest star.